Hey guys, Cameron here with Emerson Property Management. Every week I bring you tools, tactics, strategies, lessons I've learned, things that helped me build up a sizable rent portfolio in about 2 years and now manage that portfolio. Today, guys, I want to talk about renewals. I don't know how you're renewing your leases. People do it all sorts of different ways. Sometimes they'll do a verbal and just say, hey, okay, you're going to stay. Cool, we have an existing lease in place. Some folks do a one-page, renewal kind of addendum to the lease. Some people sign a whole new lease. So it just totally depends on what your process is and what you want to do. But on renewing that, are you guys getting any extra rent? Are you guys just happy to have them stay so you don't want to get any extra rent? You're like, oh, I don't want to disturb the tenant. I'm not going to raise their rent. I want them to stay. So I reduce my vacancy. This property was kind of hard to lease last time. So I'm just going to keep the rent at whatever it is, $1,000, $1,200, and then I'll get them to stay. Well, I'm here to tell you, most residents, one, you're doing yourself a disservice, and two, most of your residents aren't going to move over a little fair, it has to be fair, bump in rent. Now, fair can mean different things, obviously, depending upon which side you're on. If you're a tenant, fair might mean, $20, $30 a month. If you're an owner and you're seeing prices go up crazy, you might think it's $100 a month. Hey, this thing was renting, I leased it to you at $1,000, but now a year later I can get $1,300, $1,400 for this thing. So you guys have to come to that agreement and think about what's fair for both sides, that you're not going to get 100% maximization of your property, but you do want to keep the tenant in the property. And what do I mean by that? Or what exactly does that look like? So if the resident vacates, one, you're going to have to do some maintenance and repairs. I have not walked into a single property that I've had to do nothing in. Let me say that again a little bit differently. Every single turnover that I go in, I have to do something. That might just be pull chains on the ceiling fans, replacing light bulbs, cleaning out the oven, touching up paint along the baseboards where they scuffed, cleaning the toilets because they left piss and shit in the toilets. Whatever it is, there is always something to be done. I don't care every single property we've walked in, there might be one where all we had to do was do a few minor things, but we still had stuff to do. So you have that cost, the turnover costs, the maintenance, repairs, whatever updates you're going to do when the resident vacates. You also have the cost of switching everything in your name. Utilities have to be turned in your name. You've got to now start doing, which includes water, sewer, trash. That includes gas, maybe gas, electric. That includes landscaping. You got to have landscaping set up in your name for that duration, or at least hire somebody to do it. And usually if they're working on a part-time basis, I say part-time, usually if they're not cutting your lawn for the whole year, those prices come up for just one or two cuts. So those go up. You have all that. And honestly, all those companies, when you're not doing a whole full plan, just like a month-to-month plan, those rates are all up. So it's not like the 12 cents a kilowatt hour that you might get having an annual plan for your electric. You're talking, it could be 20, 30 cents a kilowatt hour for this monthly commercial plan. So then you've got the turnover cost related to the utilities, making sure the property is maintained and taken care of, i.e. utilities, landscaping and whatnot for the duration of the vacancy. Now, the other silent killer is the actual vacancy itself. I've said this, I don't know how many times, and it does not sink in for some reason, or maybe I'm not saying it loud enough. Every month of vacancy, 1 month of vacancy is 8.3% of your gross rents. Now let me say that again. 1 month of vacancy is 8.3% of your gross rents for the year gone. How do I get that number? 1 month divided by 12 months for the year is 8.33%. So 8.3% gone. If you guys diddly fart around, or your property manager diddly farts around, and they go to 2 months of vacancy, we're at 16.6% gone, gross rents gone for the year. This is why it's so imperative that you want to find a resident who is in there for the long term. who you believe is going to renew or have the option to renew, and who's going to take care of the place when they leave. So you really have kind of three aspects, right? You have the actual cost to fix up the property, you have the cost to take care of the property during that vacancy, and then you actually have the vacancy cost. Now, there's one other one in there that sucks for owners is the reletting fee. So the release fee to the property manager company or your agent, or if it's you doing it, you're going to have to put a sign in the yard and deal with the phone calls and whatnot. So you got to think about that as well. That's usually 1 month's rent, 8.3%. So 30 days takes you to get the property clean, tidied up, and put a tenant in there. 8.3%. You got the other costs of cleaning it, fixing it up, and whatnot. Changing locks if you're following Texas property code between your residents, doing pest control. And then you have the 8.3% lease fee. That's 16.6 if you get the property taken care of in 30 days, just with those two. So it does behoove you. That would make you think, man, Cameron, I do not want to raise rent on this resident then. I want to keep them in there for 10 or 15 years. Now, we've had tenants. I have one specifically who's been there almost a decade in the property. She was in there about 3 or 4 years before I bought the property and still in the property now. So now I have raised rent on her substantially over the years. And I say substantially. Every year it's a little bit. So where she started to where she is now is very high. But I didn't go, nothing, jump. Nothing, jump. I slowly did it, over the years to get to where I was. Now, so how would you guys want to do renewals? How do you think would be best? Would you like to wait 2, 3, 4 years and then do a $200 jump, or would you rather do $25, $35 a month every year? I think it's pretty clear, right? It's more palatable to the resident when there's a small increase every year rather than nothing, and then a big jump. It's harder to communicate that big jump. The resident might feel like, well, you gave me a benefit last year of nothing, and you gave me a benefit the year of that of nothing. Why do I need to pay more now? It's just a harder conversation to have. I'm not saying it can't be done. I've done it. It is possible, but it's easier when you do a few percentage points every year. And I say percentage, just, a couple percent every year. It's more palatable for the residents. What number is that we've used? Now, I am not the end all be all. So take this for what it's worth, but we use a standard 2% increase. Now, I know people that use 5, that go up to 5. I don't want, now 5 I think is pretty aggressive. Why? Well, because historically rents go up about 3 to 4% a year. With the rents going up about 8 to 10% a year over the past 5 to 10 years, you can go up 5%. And you're still underneath the current rent. You still stay a little bit below that. So residents are like, man, this jump sucks, but it's cheaper than if I would go find the equivalent property out on the market, right? The equivalent property is $1,500. I was paying $1,300. He's only going to charge me $1,400 or $1,350, whatever it is. Okay, I'll stay, So I think 5% is a little steep. We do 2%. And I have had 0 pushback. And how do we do that, Cameron, where I get 0 pushback every year on a renewal? We put that in our leases. So what we do is in the lease, it says, here is your monthly rent, $2,000 a month. And upon renewal, there are 2 options you're going to have. Renew for 1 year at a 2% standard increase, or renew on a month-to-month basis for a 7% increase. Those are the 2 options. So when 90 days before that lease is up, we send that to the tenant and we just say, hey, reminder, if you guys want to renew, here are your 2 options. They're already agreed upon in the lease. This is it. We have had 0 pushback on that. Not one tenant has stayed or has left because of a 2% increase. Not one. Now, some of you might be saying you're leaving some money on the table. We're probably leaving a little bit of money on the table. But again, what about all those costs around vacancy or around the turnover? Again, all the stuff to fix it up. You've got the main maintenance, the landscape and the utilities. You've got the releasing fee. You've got the vacancy costs. So that usually eats up quite a bit of extra $100 a month if you think that's going to be the benefit. So I hope that was helpful in you guys getting the tenants to renew. It's very, very imperative to get tenants renew. Our secret has been put it in the lease, do a standard 2% increase. That usually takes care of any increases in taxes and insurance you get over the year. And honestly, when the tenant vacates and we do a big turnover, we're going to bump up rents more, but bumping them up slowly over time on your resident in your lease makes it way more palatable. They will stay. They're not going to leave over a few percent. Find that right percentage for you. Is that 2? Is that 5? Is that 10? I don't know. Depending upon where you are, you might be able to get higher up in the single digits. We like 2. It's been good. We can't complain. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, let me know. If it wasn't, let me know. Keep renewing those tenants. Keep vacancies down. Keep turnover costs down. You guys will be happy landlords. I'll see y'all next week.